Hello, and welcome back to the Park to Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we'll try. I'm Alli, and I am joined by my sister and co-host CJ. CJ, it's been a minute. How you doing?
Hey, it has been a minute. I am doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing well enough.
Okay. Well, what have we been up to the last couple months? Because we kind of disappeared there for a little bit.
Yeah, we did kind of disappear there for a little bit. So my quick recap is we did Mouse Adventure. This episode will not be covering that, but we did our Animal Kingdom Mouse Adventure, True Life Adventure. It was a lot of fun, really warm, had a great time. I ran a 10K. There was an eclipse. That was really cool. And I've decided that I'm going to go camping. So there's been a lot of, I don't have any camping supplies, so we need to acquire that, trips to REI. So that's my life update.
So bye-bye money, in other words.
Yeah.
All right.
What about you?
Yeah, did Mouse Adventure. My kids' schedules have gotten very busy. I'm pretty sure I had mono because I was sick for like a month and I tested negative for COVID, strep, and flu. But I lost my voice. I was just exhausted. Like I was napping multiple times a day, which is unusual for me. But yeah, I'm good to go now. I signed up for the Wine and Dine half marathon, the challenge weekend. So in the fall, I'm assuming we'll do a recap episode because those are always fun to talk about. And yeah, you're coming out here again pretty soon.
Yeah, the surprise trip, the unexpected trip. All the cousins are coming out, and I started feeling jealous that I wasn't going to get any cousin time. So I'll be out for a couple days. It's up in the air if I'm going to get to the parks or not. I know all the cousins are going on a Thursday, but I have to work, so I will not be going on a Thursday.
Right.
But there's mini golf planned.
Yeah, we have mini golf planned. Both of us have done Winter Summerland. And when I planned it, I messaged the California cousins, hey, let's do mini golf on this night. Look at the courses and tell me which one you want me to reserve. So they all kind of unanimously said Fantasia. So that's where we're going. And I've never been there. You've never been there. They haven't been there. So this will be fun. I think on Saturday, we're talking about all of us going to Epcot. So
yeah, when I last spoke to Mom, she hadn't heard from our uncle on what the Saturday plans was, and that was about 24 hours ago. So
yeah. I think, they have the 3-day park tickets they have don't include admission to Magic Kingdom. So they had to buy separate tickets for Magic Kingdom, and then they have 3 days at whatever other parks they want to go to. Okay. I'm just thinking, my husband's off work Saturday. Dad's obviously off work Saturday. And I think Epcot is a good park with a lot of people. Because I was adding it up. It's me, Devin, my 2 kids, mom and dad, uncle, aunt. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, plus one of them's married. That's 15. And then if you go, that's 16. If our other aunt and uncle go, that's 17, 18. So I'm just thinking like 18 people out of Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot. Epcot's probably the best option. Plus, one of them is pregnant. So, like, speaking as a formerly pregnant person, there's just not a lot of rides to do at Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. Versus at Epcot, you can do everything except for 3 rides, and one of them's going to be closed for refurbishment anyways. So,
which one?
Test Track.
Are you kidding me? I'm missing that one. I was just imagining us going up to Test Track and being like, yes, party of 15, because the youngest baby can't go on. The pregnant one can't go on. And we need somebody that the youngest baby knows to stay with the youngest baby. So that takes away 3.
Right.
So I just wanted to see the look on the cast member's face when we went up to Test Track and told them party of 15.
See, I was just thinking like all of us on the Living with the Land boat would be really
gosh, we could take a boat to ourselves. That's amazing.
Or all of us, like, we show up to Figment. Okay, take her as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like we take up the entire train.
That's amazing.
But on the flip side, if we end up going to Animal Kingdom, everybody except the pregnant person can go on the safaris. And we would
she can't go on the safaris? That's a shame.
This is kind of maybe controversial. It's listed as like a pregnancy warning, but there's people who are pregnant who do go on it. I think it just depends where you're from. Like if you're
level of comfort.
You're right. And for me, the ride's always going to be there. When I was pregnant, I was like, it's not worth the risk. I can come back. This is, unless it's a once in a lifetime thing. And even if it is, like, you can't undo a mistake that happens like that, just in case. I'd rather err on the side of caution. That's just
Of course.
me. But yeah, I was just thinking if we did Animal Kingdom Saturday, everybody but one could go on the safaris, and we'd probably take up like the whole
entire
truck,
car. Yeah.
which would be really fun too. But then again, that side of the family really likes to eat, and even though there's no festival at Epcot, it's a good place to walk around and eat. So I don't know.
I mean, Grant could redeem himself on Dinosaur. I know last time we all went together, he was terrified. He was also like 6 years old, so
Yes.
it's okay.
Yes. So I don't know if that sways your opinion any direction on if you're going to go with us on Saturday.
I mean, I was kind of leaning that way regardless.
Yeah.
But I don't know what park to get a ticket for, and I need to know that.
Yeah,
so.
it's not going to be Magic Kingdom. So
yeah, I gathered that since everyone's going on Thursday. We should get into the episode now instead of planning this trip with our family.
We should. And you know what? This episode might come out by the time they're all here anyways, and all is said and done. So we'll see. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
We are shrinking down to the size of toys. And we are going to talk about Toy Story Midway Mania at California Adventure and Toy Story Mania at Hollywood Studios, which I didn't realize until we started this, that they have different names.
Yes. Isn't that odd?
It is. We're going to talk about that, right?
Yes.
Okay. But as always, we will start with our favorite things, and we'll start with CJ and Hollywood Studios.
My favorite thing about that attraction is the queue at Hollywood Studios, and it's primarily due to the theming. I think it's really well done, but also it's the bulk of it, like 90% of it is indoors. And if you've ever been to Toy Story Land, you know that is possibly the hottest land in all of Hollywood Studios with very little shade. So it's just a nice break away from things.
Yeah, I have to agree with you that the queue is the best part of the ride. Not only is it really, really well themed, Lifeguard Louie is there, which I love because my husband's name is Louie. Mom actually sent me a picture of that a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I took that exact picture the last time I was there. Yeah, it's inside, it's air conditioned. We all know that I'm an anti-moth and I'm seeking out darkness and cool spaces. I'm a bat. Yeah. Love the queue, love the air conditioning, love the theming. It's great.
Yeah. It's honestly kind of jarring to go from the blazing heat of Toy Story Land into the cool, dark indoor queue. Like, it feels like a different time of day. It feels like evening when you walk in there.
The lighting in there is really like evening atmosphere.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they're trying to make it like this is the jumbled mess of toys under Andy's bed or desk or something. Maybe that's what they're going for. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it does seem darker than other indoor spaces in the parks.
Yeah, it could be that it's like it's bedtime, Andy's asleep, and the toys are all out to play.
That's a good theory. I like that theory.
Cool. We'll go with that. And what about at California Adventure, CJ?
Well, if you've listened to other episodes of this podcast before, such as the episode about the Jungle Cruise, you know that I really enjoy how Disney is able to like engineer big things into places that you don't expect them to. So for DCA, I like how they were able to fit that ride into the pier area. You know, you have Incredicoaster going above it, and it's just like plopped in there. And I think that's it. I think it's cool how they were able to engineer that in there.
Yeah, Disney Imagineering is fantastic at doing things like that. Mm-hmm. So my favorite thing is something that you don't even have to get on the ride to see. You don't have to enter the queue to see. It's the one, the only Mr. Potato Head. This animatronic was like the coolest thing when it like premiered, debuted, however an animatronic like appears, whatever you want to verb that. He's still really innovative. He interacts with people in the queue and walking by. So I really, really love Mr. Potato Head. The other thing that I really like that I think is just like a little sprinkling of magic is when you exit the queue or when you exit the ride, you go up some stairs and you can see there's this little like bedroom set up and you can see the game that you just walked out of. You can see where people are playing it, like in like a miniature. I felt like that when I first noticed that, I was like, wow, that is really magical. They didn't have to do that. They went above and beyond and just sprinkled that little extra bit of magic on it.
Yeah, I always liked that part too. I think it explains the story of why you were just randomly in a game on a Victorian style boardwalk. It looks like a living room or maybe a kid's bedroom setup. And then, oh, I just walked out of that. Like, I'm the toy. Yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about opening dates.
Okay. At Hollywood Studios, this attraction opened on May 31st, 2008.
And at California Adventure, not too far behind, this opened on June 17th, 2008. So just a couple weeks, and it's coming up on an anniversary soon.
That's crazy. That's 16 years.
It can drive a car now.
That was the year I graduated high school, so I'm feeling kind of old.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So now for some fun facts, history, and trivia. A version of this opened at Tokyo Disney Sea on July 9th, 2012.
Have you ever seen the facade for that attraction?
It is nightmare fuel, but It's also inspired by, I think Luna Park in Australia.
That's a very random fact that I have never heard.
Let me look. I think from another podcast that actually talked about. Oh my gosh. From another podcast that talked about, it is definitely inspired by Luna Park in Australia. Look up Luna Park Sydney on Google Images, and you will see this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's creepy. This looks like the spiritual grandmother of that creepy chair at the boardwalk. So,
except this is the entrance to the entire theme park. Yeah.
I think we've just entered another cinematic universe of creepy faces in theme parks, and it ties together Tokyo Disney Sea, Luna Park, and the boardwalk.
Yeah. And yeah. Okay. Does Toy Story also fit into that cinematic universe by the fact that one of those faces is Woody?
Yeah, I said Tokyo Disney Sea.
Well, you didn't say Toy Story, though.
Okay, Toy Story at Tokyo Disney Sea.
Well, no, I'm asking, do the Toy Story movies also count as part of the cinematic universe?
No, because this is specifically places at theme parks.
Okay, it's like a theme park cinematic universe.
Yes.
I wonder if you drew lines between everything, what shape it would make.
I don't know, but I think it might make a triangle, and then you can draw a circle, and then the Illuminati's involved. This is really going off the rails. We should get back to the fun facts. I guess I'll do the next one. We can switch off. So Nintendo Wii had a Toy Story Mania game, and other versions were released later for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And I think that's really interesting because the Buzz Lightyear attraction, which is the spiritual predecessor to Toy Story Midway Mania, they had that online game that you could play that connected to the ride. Now, this game did not connect to the ride, but I remember playing the Toy Story Mania game for the Wii because we had it at Pinocchio's workshop where I worked at the Grand Californian, and it was basically just the mini games from the rides.
That's right. I played that when I was babysitting one time, and it was basically just the mini games from the rides.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm moving on. This attraction was one of the most advanced attractions for its time. It cost an estimated $80 million to build. Now, is that each?
I'm assuming.
Okay. And it was the company's first use of industrial Ethernet for a ride's control system.
Yeah, when you think about the ride itself, it's a pretty complicated attraction. And the control system for the ride is divided into three parts. There's one part that's controlling the movement of the vehicles, one that's controlling the games, and one that controls special effects. Now, sometimes, in a ride like this where you're focused on shooting, you may not even notice the special effects, but sometimes there's air puffs blowing at you or water kind of squirting at you. And
I always notice the air puffs, CJ.
Well, thinking back to it, that's not the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the ride. And if you watch a ride through, that wouldn't come across on YouTube, right, obviously. But all of those systems have to talk to each other because, the ride vehicle has to know, okay, we're at this game right now. This is the game we're playing. And whatever's happening in that game is going to affect the special effects that are going on. So when you think about it that way, Like, yeah, there's no animatronics just moving up and down or whatever, but there's a lot going on back there, even though it's a screen attraction. And we know that screen-based attractions get a lot of hate in the Disney community. But I don't think this one deserves that same level of like anti-screen sentiment that other attractions get. So continuing on, there's two different tracking systems that provide the game control system with the vehicle's exact location so that gameplay is not affected in the event of a breakdown or a delay in getting riders off further ahead vehicles. And there's also sensors in the actual shooter that provide info on its orientation. So, you know, if you point it up, down, left, right, whatever. And all three systems are just working together constantly to make sure there's a smooth, consistent ride experience.
Yeah, it really is a technological marvel. And there are more than 150 PCs used for the attraction. Each of the 56 game screens has its own PC, and there are others that control special effects. And yeah, it's just there was a lot of technology that went into this ride.
Yep. Now, each of the games does have an Easter egg. I've unlocked all of them at least once, I think. I'm not going to spoil them for you. They're out there on the internet if you want to find them. Good luck.
I will say that the one in the dinosaur area is, I think, the easiest to unlock.
Yes, I would agree with that. And it's really hard to do it on your own. You
have to have cooperation from the person next to you. Yes.
And a game plan. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do the Hollywood Studios fun facts. So originally this was located in a section called Pixar Place. Pixar Place kind of exists. Like, it's this alleyway that has like the Jack Num Num cookies for sale. You can meet the Incredibles and whoever else back there. And the attraction entry was on that side. So if you're heading towards Toy Story Land from like Walt, One Man's Dream Theater, the attraction entry was on the left in that alleyway. Like, if you enter the alleyway, it's on the right. So if you're doing a bird's eye look at the building, the attraction entry was on the left, which is in that Pixar Place alleyway.
Okay.
You look confused. Imagine,
I just don't know this park very well, so it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Imagine you're looking down on Google Earth at the park. Okay.
I mean, I can do more than imagine that. I can just open up Google Maps.
When Toy Story Land opened on June 30th, 2018, the new attraction entry was on the right side of the building. Previously, it was on the left side of the building, where Pixar Place is. Allie doesn't know what I'm talking about. She's very confused.
No, I was busy pulling up Google Maps. Okay. So give it to me again.
Okay. So, have you located One Man's Dream?
Is that the same thing as Walt Disney Presents Gallery and Exhibits?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's like an area to the north of that, like an alleyway called Pixar Place. And then you'll see like Toy Story Land kind of off to the right.
Well, left, but okay.
Left. That doesn't make any sense. You know what?
It does when you're looking at Google Maps.
I'm just going to have you watch an old YouTube video.
You know what? I can see this building that you're talking about. And okay, I'm pretty confident that building is where Toy Story Mania is. And I can see how the queue would start from there.
Yes. So
I see Pixar Place now. Okay.
Yeah. So the entry to the ride used to be there before Toy Story Land opened.
Okay.
So this ride actually closed for about 19 days in June 2018. And then when Toy Story Land opened officially on June 30th, 2018, the attraction entry moved to where it is now. And that's also when they shortened the name to Toy Story Mania. They dropped the Midway. The Hollywood Studios version has a third track, which opened in May 2016. So their capacity is higher than California Adventures.
Which is nice.
Yes.
So in California Adventure, this was originally located in Paradise Pier, which they renamed Pixar Pier, and which opened on June 23rd of 2018. In conjunction with this, the exterior received a new paint job and some other minor changes.
I think it's really interesting that this attraction on both coasts, the land that it's in, changed.
Yeah.
Without the attraction really moving. I mean, the entrance to one of them moved, but like things around it moved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also didn't realize that Pixar Pier opened a week before Toy Story Land opened.
Okay. I didn't know that either.
I think part of it is because it seems like they never fully closed off Pixar Pier. like parts of it were open and running while they were changing things over. So it didn't
Mhm.
really feel like, woohoo, this is brand new. Welcome to Pixar Pier. It was like a gradual change, whereas nobody had been in Toy Story Land before. So,
Yeah, and another thing that I think is maybe they do more so now, but less so in 2018. They don't really talk about both coasts getting like similar things happening. Like we're hearing a lot of it now with Tiana, but it wasn't so much a thing of like, oh, both of them are getting this Toy Story stuff, or both of them are getting this Pixar thing,
right,
you know?
right. It does seem like there's a lot of come out to Disneyland and experience blah, 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 and then come out to Walt Disney World and experience something different.
Mhm.
Even though they have a lot of similarities, I think marketing wise, they tend to push the differences a little more.
Yeah. It's a little bit of FOMO.
Yes.
And it's a little bit of, trying to make sure that people know, well, I mean, the FOMO is trying to make sure that people know that there's stuff on this coast that you can't get at the other.
Right.
But there's the whole thing of like that Disney wanted to do a park in Texas, but they'd be cannibalizing their own audience. I think they're trying to also keep that from happening.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, moving back to Midway Mania. So let's talk about where they are in the parks.
In Hollywood Studios, as we've been talking about, it's located in Toy Story Land across from Slinky Dog Dash, and it replaced these sound stages which were used for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Play It. Rest in peace. I loved
Oh.
that.
In Pixar Pier at California Adventure, as we again just talked about, it's located on the Pixar Pier in the middle underneath the Incredicoaster. When this went in, it replaced Midway games and quick service food, which nobody misses.
Really? Rest in peace, Malibu Ritos. That's like the old remnants of DCA 1.0.
Yeah, right?
It was a different time.
It really was.
Yeah. You know what? Even though it's changed so much, I still have a very soft spot in my heart for DCA 1.0.
Yeah, it was a special time.
Yes. What's our next topic?
Our next topic is the queue and the exterior.
Okay, so at Hollywood Studios, you enter the queue from the outside, obviously, through a giant board game box. And there's a couple of switchbacks through here, and thankfully it is covered and shady, and they're not always used, only if the line is super long. And once you get inside, it's like chock full of Toy Story references and other games and toys. So this is not an exhaustive list of what you might see, but Tinker Toys, Viewmaster, Candyland cards, Uno cards, building blocks, Etch-a-Sketch, etc. You wind your way through several rooms of these toys, and eventually you see the MC of the attraction, the Mr. Potato Head animatronic. You pick up your glasses from a Lincoln Log cabin, which I think is really cool, and I didn't notice that until I had watched the ride through of it. And then you keep winding around until you get to the load zone, which is in Andy's bedroom. And above the loading vehicles, there's like a Tinker Toy structure that he's constructed.
Very nostalgic.
Mm-hmm.
At California Adventure, it is a very Victorian-style Carnival Games facade. Mr. Potato Head is on the outside, not inside, and you enter into a very long switchback area, which is partially covered by trees and umbrellas, but you're outside for the majority of the queue. You enter a pretty boring, mostly unthemed room. You got like white panel walls and posters for the like games that you're about to play that kind of tell you like what to expect, like throw the discs or like pop the balloons, that sort of thing. You pick up your glasses from a pretty boring area and you enter the loading zone. And the queue it's overall very Victorian, which doesn't really fit in with Pixar. And the ride begins when you enter a board game box. Yeah, the more that I'm like thinking about this, like I love this queue. I mean, even though it's very boring, it's very beautiful, but it really does not match the idea of a Pixar pier.
No. And you can tell the original theme was something else. Like it was Paradise Pier first, which was a nod to old piers and carnivals and stuff like that. So it makes sense for that and it fits in with that. But what Pixar Pier has become, I don't know that it really makes sense. You know, right next door we have a really cartoony looking carousel with Jesse's critters all over it and this mid-century modern Incredicoaster. Like it just doesn't really fit in. And to me, it's like for our East Coasters, if you've never been to DCA, it's kind of like if the Grand Floridian and Toy Story collided. Like, that's what the queue looks like to me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
There's no other way to describe it.
You make it sound so much worse than it actually is, but yeah.
Well, how would you describe it?
I wouldn't say like they collided. I would say like they merged.
How is that different than collided?
It's much less violent, for
okay.
one.
Okay.
You merge on a freeway. You don't collide on a freeway. If you do, you're in trouble.
Okay. Fair. All right, let's move on to our next category.
Music in the area and queue. It was arranged and recorded by Jennifer Hammond and features a live orchestra. There was more than an hour of music recorded, and it was based on the first two movies' music done by Randy Newman. The third movie didn't come out till 2010, so they didn't really update it after the third and the fourth and Lightyear and all the other things.
Yeah, honestly, when I think of Toy Story, there's like a couple classic songs that I think of. I don't know that I could even sing any of the songs from Toy Story 3 or 4. So I don't blame them for not updating it. But yeah, Hollywood Studios, it is instrumental. Unless you're in the outside portion of the queue, that's basically all you're hearing. If you happen to be outside, you're going to hear Toy Story Land stuff going on.
Yeah, and because the DCA version is primarily outside, you do hear that music, but it is also a lot of Incredicoaster noises and ambient Pixar Pier sounds.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Ride vehicles. CJ, can you tell us about the ride vehicles?
Yeah, so each vehicle seats up to 8 people in back-to-back pairs, with 2 per row. You can have a small child riding on a lap, but their legs must be under a lap bar, and it's really awkward because the bench where your butt goes is not that deep, and it's like a straight back, no cushioning. So for me, it was always uncomfortable to take my small kids on this ride and try to get them under the lap bar. So we waited until they were old enough to like sit up on their own. That's just me. There's different colors of the guns. There's yellow, green, and red and blue.
Yeah, it's like this weird reddish orangish, and then when you're in the practice game, it comes out pink. I don't know. I always like to sit there, though. But yeah, the ride vehicles are the same for both coasts. So moving on to the storyline and route.
Yeah, so at Hollywood Studios, I mean, once you enter Toy Story Land, you're shrunk down to toy size. So this just continues that story, and you're playing a game in Andy's bedroom.
Yeah, California Adventure is similar, but you're not like shrunk down to toy size. Like you are, but it's not really shown the way it is at Hollywood Studios. It's basically just that you've entered a board game.
Yeah, really the only thing I can think of is that box as the vehicles start moving, you see that board game box. That's your only indication that you've entered a board game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the games.
Yes. So first off, you'll have a practice round, which is a pie throwing round. Then you'll see a ham and eggs throwing game, Rex and Trixie's Dino Darts. That was originally Bo Peep's Balloon Pop, but that was replaced on May 21st, 2010. Next up, you have the Green Army Men baseball throwing game where you're trying to break those plates.
Sir,
yes, sir. And then Buzz Lightyear's Flying Tossers and Woody's Root and Toot and Shooting Gallery. And then at the very end, you get your score.
Yeah, it's your last game.
Yeah, give it all you got.
And then your wrist really hurts at the end because you've been on the...
Yeah, your arm, shoulder, wrist, everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's talk about the exit queue.
Yeah, so the exit for Hollywood Studios is pretty much inside. You exit Andy's room, you drop off your glasses, and you go through a gift shop and out a very long outdoor walkway to Toy Story Land.
At California Adventure, you exit the vehicle and you go up a set of stairs where you drop off your glasses and you see that playroom scene that we talked about at the top of this episode. You can see the game box from the board game you were just in inside the ride. You head down the stairs to a small gift shop, then outside. If you are not able to do stairs, there is an accessible unloading area that does not spit you out in the gift shop. It spits you out next to it.
Yeah, it's over like by Jesse's Critter Carousel on that side. Yeah. Neither of these rides have height requirements, although, like I said, as somebody who's taking their small children, I would wait until they have good neck control because this can kind of like whip them around the corner a little bit. I just wasn't personally comfortable until my kids were a little older.
Yeah. They are both open during fireworks / other nighttime entertainment, such as World of Color and Fantasia.
They're
Fantasia,
both
Fantasmic.
They are both open during the rain, and these are good places to go during the rain. Although I will say at DCA, you're going to be waiting outside in the rain. So prepare yourself.
They do both have Lightning Lane.
Hollywood Studios does not have single rider. California Adventure used to offer a single rider, but they don't anymore.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
So, now that we have the facts laid out, it's time for the final showdown. Does one side stand out above the crowd? Will we see eye to eye? CJ, do you have a decision made on this one? Because I do.
Yes, it's going to go to the Hollywood Studios version because the queue, I think, is so much better. And I think the ride's location within the land makes a lot of sense. It makes sense that you would be a small toy in Andy's backyard and you're going to be playing whatever game he has set up for you. I just like where it is in Hollywood Studios. DCA, it's really the queue that kills it for me.
Okay, that's fair enough. I want to preface this by saying that I love the DCA version of this ride. I really do. I like the Victorian theming, even if it is a little bit weird now that it's the Pixar Pier and the Incredicoaster. Like, that's really weird. It was better when it was Paradise Pier. But it does have to go to Hollywood Studios because, well, first of all, the rides are exactly the same. Hollywood Studios has the better queue, and it has the higher capacity, and it has the air conditioning and atmosphere that, at least in the queue, that California Adventure is lacking.
Yeah. Another strength, I think, for California Adventure is that you can see the Mr. Potato Head animatronic outside the ride. And he's like a barker, like a boardwalk barker. And so that fits with the pier theme really well. I just think, like, we talk a lot about IPs being introduced into the parks. And I think Toy Story Midway Mania on Paradise Pier is a really good example of IPs being used without taking over versus now that it's Pixar Pier. I don't know, like it still fits kinda, but it just seems like a lot of IP stuff is happening.
I think the problem is not with Midway Mania. I think the problem is with the Pixar Pier.
Yeah. It changed directions. It shifted away from a Victorian thing to like something newer and shinier and prettier. Midway Mania was still left in this Victorian era.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't even make sense for when Toy Story takes place.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, because look at the car the mom drives. It's like a 90s car, so...
Yeah, and Incredibles is what, like the 50s or 60s?
The 60s, yeah.
So it doesn't fit... I mean, it could fit in, like... It would have been like an older type of attraction in that era, the 50s, 60s, but it still wouldn't be like super weird. But then you move on and you've got like the Inside Out stuff.
Yeah, which is in your brain and really obscure, and then the very cartoony carousel.
Yeah. And we can't forget the Ferris Wheel of Terror.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's just, it's a solid attraction and definitely one of my favorites at DCA. Mm-hmm. I think that area of the park suffers from confusion.
Yes.
Which seems to be a theme for California Adventure overall, honestly.
It started out with an identity crisis, and it has continued. It's just Disney's identity crisis. That's the new name of the park.
Dear. Well, that seems like kind of an easy comparison, like an easy victor for this one.
Yeah, we don't usually have that, or we don't always have that, but it's nice when it does happen.
It is. Yeah, should we talk about what we're talking about next episode?
We should. We are going under the sea for the next episode.
Life is the Bubbles with our friend Ariel.
And Sebastian and our frenemy Ursula.
Frenemy? I don't think she's a friend at all.
She pretends to be a friend.
And Ariel is so gullible, so desperate. Yeah. She falls for it. Oh, Ariel.
She's only 14 or something. Or no, wait, she's 16. She's not a little girl anymore. Like, yes, you are. Anyways.
Yeah, so we'll be comparing the California Adventure version to the Magic Kingdom version, and maybe we should detour to the stage show in Hollywood Studios, which, by the way, a long time ago, they announced that that was coming back, and there's nothing happening. Like, I don't know when it's coming back.
Yeah, I forgot that existed. And I was like, there's a stage show?
Yeah, the puppet show.
Yeah, but I remember I saw it with my friend Kirsten like 6 years ago or something when we went.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
COVID killed it, and then they announced that they were bringing it back in a whole new way, and I feel like they announced that a long time ago, but nothing has happened.
Maybe they're just being really, really sneaky with their updates and distracting everybody with Tiana, and then bam, the same day that Tiana's opens, The Little Mermaid's going to be back.
That would be amazing.
I don't expect that to happen at all, but that would be a really interesting, like, rug pull.
It would be. Before we conclude this episode, I want to give a special shout out to the DMSW podcast, because you were supposed to be on as a guest and you were sick, but I was on as a guest. Johnny's on his way to 100 episodes. Probably by the time this comes out, he'll get that goal. So thank you for having us on. Definitely go check him out to hear Disney, Marvel, Star Wars stuff. He says it like it is, which is great. And you and I are going to be on an episode over there, reimagining a park.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun.
Yes.
I'll say that some chat GPT was involved.
Let's just leave it at that.
It's going to be really fun.
Yes. Yes. We had fun brainstorming things.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. I think that's it.
I think that's it too. We have to do the sign-off stuff. It's been so long since we recorded. I forgot about this. So thank you all for listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching. Hello. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram, Park2ParkPod with the number 2. Subscribe, give us reviews wherever you listen to podcasts. I forget what else we say in the outro. Anything that I'm missing, CJ?
Make sure you let us know which one's prettier. Me or Alli?
No, we're not doing that anymore.
We're still doing it. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's call it.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.